Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Hello and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel in general. I'm back with another sketchbook session. I've been doing these lately and enjoying them quite a bit, and I decided to use pretty much the same materials that I've been doing for the past couple of sessions, which are microns and alcohol markers. Just wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that I'm so happy about the little influx of subscribers. I'm super happy that you guys seem to really enjoy that one alcohol marker video. I don't know why, but I did have a ton of fun drawing that particular page, and yeah, I'm just super happy and wanted to welcome you guys to my channel. And yeah, it's always nice to expand the little community that we have here. So yeah, like I said, decided to use the same materials as I did for the past couple of sketchbook spreads, but this time around I wanted to stick to using pencils, which I know is not a particularly mind-blowing discovery, but it's honestly been so long since I've made super clean drawings with Micron pens and whatnot, just using a regular pencil as an undersketch, that I kind of really missed it and wanted to go forward without using any sort of colored pencils like I typically do, or did at least in the first alcohol marker video a couple of videos ago. But yeah, anyways, I also decided to draw a little bit bigger for this one because last time I noticed that it was a little bit of a strain for me to get all those little details in with the microns, and it's actually pretty difficult to color in within the lines using the alcohol markers when the drawings are so small. So right off the bat I decided that I'm going to draw a little bit bigger. I do realize that it's still not the biggest drawing, but I think it did make it a lot easier to color it in afterwards, and I'm super happy that I did that. And I decided to draw Astrid, which is one of my characters. I'm actually pretty surprised that even though I started the sketchbook not that long ago, and I'm mostly it's not a very casual sketchbook, so I do a lot of like super detailed and pretty relatively polished, I guess, drawings for each page, and I have already managed to draw Astrid 3 times in the sketchbook, which is kind of interesting. So she's new, and I don't know, I guess I'm just kind of stuck on her for whatever reason. But yeah, specifically I wanted to make some sort of more fashion oriented I guess it's hard to say like more fashion oriented, because I suppose looking at most of my art, like it tends to be fashion oriented like 99% of the time. So I guess I just really love drawing clothes. But I suppose what was a little bit different about this one is that I did want to use more colors, and wanted to use colors that I don't typically use. These are all, I guess, decisions kind of being carried over from my last video, which was the Draw This Again challenge, in which I drew my character Kim's one more time, using the same design that I did back when I was like 15 or something. But yeah, I had so much fun using colors that I typically don't these days. Like blue is something that I almost never use, that I noticed. These are random things that just never even occurred to me, because I guess I tend to do a lot of monochromatic stuff, and I do seem to gravitate towards like sepia and brown colors, so I wanted to do something a little bit different for this one. That being said, I didn't really decide on any colors right off the bat or like ahead of time at all, so I just kind of had an idea for the silhouette for the type of outfit that she's going to wear. I was looking through some Pinterest photos and saw this girl wear this cape looking jacket thing with a big bow, so I found that super cute, and a skirt. Kind of like pretty much used a similar silhouette from the photo that I saw, but I did change a bunch of details, and from what I can remember, the photo had like a pretty monochromatic look, like blacks and grays, and so I decided that I will use something similar, but obviously update a bunch of details. Like I decided to do a scorpion pattern, which is a not so subtle hint at Astrid's personality. But yeah, I had a lot of fun figuring out what details I'm gonna put. I usually think of stuff like that like when I'm in the middle of sketching, and I just kind of tend to sort out some details when I'm still in that stage of things, and then I will obviously typically elaborate on a bunch of stuff when I'm actually inking. But yeah, I did decide to do a full body version of the outfit right beside the torso portrait thing, because I just wanted to incorporate the shoes as well. That was something that, I don't know, honestly, shoes is one of my favorite things to draw. They're really difficult for me to get the shape right, but I do so enjoy it, and I especially enjoy coming up with like some sort of unique-ish design for shoes. And I also wanted to do something interesting for her stockings, just to match like whatever color scheme I was gonna go with, so I did want to include the full body version. Plus, I think it's pretty good practice for me to draw like a smaller figure on a relatively small sketchbook page. Like, I guess the sketchbook isn't the smallest, but it's not a very big sketchbook either, so then like drawing a full body figure is a little bit difficult, and it tends to be a lot smaller than I normally would draw something like that. I'm only talking about paper, and the reason why I'm like even talking about this at all is because I think it's just good practice for me to draw faces on such a small scale, because I'm really forced to pull back on the details that I like to typically put into faces, and I really struggle with this when I draw digitally, because I will just zoom in and draw a pretty similar amount of detail that I would if it's a large image of a face. So that's actually one of the things that has been kind of fun with drawing in a sketchbook, because I do really have to manage the details and kind of scale them down if I do draw a smaller figure. So just figured I would mention that. But yeah, inking this was actually so much fun, and it was so much easier than the previous one, just because I went for the larger sketch, and I did utilize this pen. I don't know if you can, it's like a marker, I guess. As you can see, it was just kind of a spontaneous decision. When I went to an art store to buy a bunch of Micron, like fresh Micron pens, I decided to pick up the broad, like the calligraphy looking flat tip pen marker. I guess, I don't know what to call it. But yeah, it's actually so much fun to use, because you can get such a crazy line variation when you use the chiseled, the flat tip or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm brain dead right now, and I will tell you guys why a little bit later in the video. But yeah, I found it a super useful tool, and I'm glad I got it. It made kind of for an interesting outline for the hair, and it made it a lot faster, because if I used like a much thinner pen, it would have taken me like 5 times as long to outline her hair. But yeah, as you can see, I also filled it in. I believe I filled it in with just like the 8 size Micron pen that you can see me holding right now. And I did use all the different thicknesses that I purchased when I was at the store, and they totally came in handy. I actually think it's something that I didn't really do much back in the day. Like when I used to use microns when I was younger, I would mostly stick to the 0.05 thickness and just kind of ink everything with it. And if I wanted to add an outline, I would only use a thicker pen for that. But in this particular case, I actually switched back and forth a lot more than I typically would, and I think it created for a more varied line work, or a bigger variety in line work. And I do think that the reason why I opted to do this is because it's something I've been doing a lot when I ink digitally. I switch back and forth, like I will increase or decrease the size of the brush quite a lot when I've been inking lately. And one of the reasons why I started doing that is because I wanted to tone down on the uniformity slash overly controlled nature of my line work. I wanted to loosen it up a little bit as much as I could, and for that reason I thought maybe if I made the brush size a lot bigger, it would just force me not to be so meticulous about every single line, especially when it's not the face. And I do think it actually kind of worked, so I guess I'm just migrating a little bit of that into my traditional process now, which is kind of cool to notice, because I do like to go back and forth, but typically I have phases. So like I'll draw a lot on paper for some time, like a few months typically, and then I will kind of feel like doing more digital work, so I'll stick to that for a few months. And every time I sustain I have a sustained period of drawing using one medium, I will typically learn something new, and I will sometimes migrate small things back and forth, which is kind of fun to think about. I'm just going to take a second to tell you about today's sponsor, SKILLSHare, which is an online learning platform designed for people who love creativity and learning new skills. SKILLSHare has thousands of classes on a huge variety of topics such as drawing, illustration, film, photography, journaling, and pretty much anything you can think of that has something to do with creative output. I'm personally absolutely thrilled to find that SKILLSHare has a bunch of classes about sewing. I've always wanted to try making my own clothes, and I am super excited to check out this class by a fellow YouTuber whose channel I love so much, Bernadette Banner, and the class is called Hand Sewing Basics: Work Wonders with Fabric, Needle, and Thread. If you want to check out SKILLSHare and learn something fun and new, you can try it for free. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description box or my code will get a 1-month free trial of SKILLSHare. And now back to the video. So yeah, I was a little more diligent this time around with letting the line art dry properly, or like letting it sit for a couple of hours in order to avoid smudging when I would move on to either erasing and then, obviously using alcohol markers like I planned, because I did notice in the last couple of illustrations or pages, if I don't do that, it does tend to smudge a little bit, and actually used to like be way too impatient and try to erase the undersketch right after I finished inking and then end up smudging it just like that, which is so annoying, and it's just terrible and so easily avoided. So I decided to be much more careful this time around. And I don't know if any of you guys noticed, if you are a fan of Alexander McQueen, I did draw one of those Alexander McQueen satchel bags, or I don't remember what they're called actually, but anyways, yeah, I thought it would really kind of suit this outfit. And so I just looked up a reference and did that. I do that pretty frequently. There's a bunch of high fashion brands that I like that I will sometimes just go on the website and browse stuff because, the prices are so outrageous I would never buy anything, but I do quite enjoy just looking at the details and then drawing some of the stuff. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in my last video. But yeah, so my brain is short-circuiting right now. And I just wanted to kind of take a second to tell you guys a little bit about what's going on in my life and not focus so much on the process, because as you can see, it's like relatively similar from my previous stuff anyways, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about my color choices afterwards, but we'll see. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, the reason why I am having a hard time concentrating right now is because my wedding is actually in a few days, and I tried really hard to prepare everything ahead of time as much as I could, but I should have known better, and I know myself, I can never be prepared far ahead of time because I'm just a chronic procrastinator and I leave a lot of things to the last minute. Thankfully, I got most of the things done, but I was kind of aware that a lot of stuff would crop up in the last couple of days leading up to it, and I was not wrong about that because things are definitely cropping up, and I still want to finish this video because I actually had the footage ready to go last week, but I didn't find enough time to edit in the audio, and now everything is just haphazard and I'm running late. But yeah, I don't think I want to talk too much about the wedding stuff because I think I may have mentioned in one of my previous videos that I actually made, I painted the illustration for the invites and I did actually record that, and it's funny. I don't know. I do want to share that with you guys because I don't know. It's something different. The style is a little bit different, and I don't know. I just thought it would be a fun thing, and I figured I will tell you about the wedding related stuff in that video, and that will probably come pretty soon. But in this one, I'm just gonna talk about other stuff like for instance, some of the stuff that I'm planning to do when it's done. So that's pretty soon, I guess that's next week. And yeah, okay, so the biggest thing that I am working on right now is the art book, as I've mentioned a couple of times. So if any of you don't know, I am working on a new art book with 3D Total Publishing, which is amazing, and I'm super excited. The progress in that has been great. I am more or less done. I think there's just a couple of things that are left to add, but it's looking pretty good, and there's been a ton of stuff. It's actually quite different from my previous art books that I've self-published, because there's a lot more attention to the written text and like the way that things are organized. So I mean, without like giving anything away, I will say that it has been way more like careful attention on my part towards the content, because the way that I approached my previous art books, I just kind of focused on the art speaking for itself, or something like that. So I just kind of had a bunch of galleries and pages of just artwork, and didn't really put a whole bunch of text in. But this is going to be very different, so I actually find it super exciting, because it never really occurred to me how valuable that can be, because as I've been working on this art book, I've actually been, you know, reading and rereading all my other art books by 3D Total and some other ones that I have as well. And I have to say that I really love all the text in those, and how much text there is, and how much of a glimpse it gives you into all the different artists' lives and how they go about things and their thoughts on their art journeys and careers and all the advice that they have to give. It's really great. So yeah, that's one of the aspects of my new art book that I'm really excited about. Yeah, aside from that, that's gonna be coming up pretty soon. I'm not 100% sure if the schedule is still gonna be the same, but I think the Kickstarter should happen in the next couple of months, but I will obviously keep you guys posted on that situation. But otherwise, I actually wanted to say that I'm feeling very much ready to start just diving into my comic. And I know that I say that a lot, or I don't know what I do say. I think most of the time I say I just want to work on it, and I don't understand why I'm still not working on it. But I do think I reached kind of a point where it's different this time, because I feel a lot less anxiety about my finances and just the way that my career is going, and how many things I have set up in terms of passive income and whatnot. And I think I am getting to the point where, even though like in terms of like nothing has changed drastically over the past couple of years, and you know, maybe that's part of the reason why I'm feeling less stressed out, is because things have been actually really steady, and steadiness is what kind of breeds, you know, calmness. Or like I said, my brain is not functioning very well right now, so my vocabulary is terrible, but you know what I mean. Like I got a lot more accustomed to the fact that things are relatively steady, and understand that things can change. But I think now I can actually let go of that attitude that I was super I don't know, it's like it was really difficult for me to shake the constant worry about income, so that most of the time I ended up just by default prioritizing pretty much everything that was focused on income. So like freelance stuff, my online shop, and all things like that. And that's pretty much why even though I did put a substantial amount of work into writing the comic and, you know, doing illustrations here and there, I didn't actually get around to starting it quite yet. But now I feel like, after having experienced some sort of stability in terms of that, and understanding that I can always put in the work and figure out how to make an income if I really need to, I feel like I can allow myself to take some time to not worry about income, whether it's coming or not, and actually just start on my comic. So yeah, I figured I would just mention that, and it's something I'm planning to do within the next couple of months, as soon as the art book stuff is wrapped up. And yeah, another thing that I wanted to do probably this year. I don't know how soon I'll be able to do it, but I have been thinking like on and off for the past couple of years of making a new Skillshare class, because I do honestly love Skillshare and I do watch classes pretty frequently. So I made one maybe like 4 years at this point. It's been quite some time, but I thought it would be a great thing to make more Skillshare classes that are more focused and you know, broken down into the little segments, that the way that Skillshare classes are, because I don't know, I don't think it's something that I really want to do on YouTube. I've definitely done a lot of tutorial-ish or like instructional content, especially when it comes to like life drawing and anatomy on YouTube, but I do vastly prefer Skillshare's format. And of course, if I'm gonna put a lot more effort and time into constructing and writing a class and doing all the necessary research and whatnot, I would probably prefer for the monetization of that to be more predictable than YouTube's. So that's something that I'm gonna do in the future, and I would definitely love to hear some of you guys' suggestions in terms of like what kind of class you would want to see from me. And yeah, I mean, I've already asked a couple of times before, and I definitely have some things in mind, but it's always good to hear more input on that. But yeah, overall, like I said, I'm feeling pretty great. I feel way more at ease with my art and my career, and I feel like things are somehow definitely changing. I mean, I'm saying this as I'm like sitting here 2 days before my wedding, so yeah, obviously things are changing. It's lots of changes in a way, but also in another way, not a whole lot is going to change, I guess. So yeah. And oh yeah, another thing that I wanted to mention is that I like started this new collection of stationery for my shop called The Astronomer a few months ago, and I seem to have completely forgotten about it. So that's one of the things I really want to get back to as soon as I can. I don't want to prioritize that, but still, I really enjoy making stationery stuff and new product for my store. So it's definitely something I'm gonna get back to. I just want to see if I can put a little bit more priority into you know, my comic, the thing that I've been putting off for most of my life. So that's definitely a plan. But yeah, like I said, still super excited to get back to the Astronomer set because the aesthetic is just so fun, and I was really excited about using more blues, something I almost never do color wise. So yeah, definitely gonna make some videos taking you guys through the process of how I'm gonna plan that and execute it slowly but surely. Hopefully not as slowly as last time, but yeah. And lastly, one other thing I wanted to mention was that things do seem to be kind of settling down around conventions and COVID restrictions and whatnot. So I feel like I see a lot of conventions coming back, and I'm very excited about that. I'm definitely not gonna like jump straight back into doing a ton of conventions. Haven't done that in a very long time, and honestly, it stresses me out a little too much, but I'll definitely do a few. And one convention that I definitely will go to this year that I already have a table for is Anime North. Managed to secure a table at the dealer's room a couple of years ago, and I am not letting go of that. So definitely gonna be there. So hopefully I'll see some of you local folk over there. Hopefully someone is going to attend that. I have no idea really how conventions are gonna go, you know, after COVID and everything, but hopefully it'll be somewhat back to normal, and I am very excited to see people in person. It's just been so long, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out the local TCAF comic festival thing. I don't know what TCAF stands for, but I've always loved that particular convention, and very excited for that. I don't have a table there because I completely missed the applications. I don't even know when that happened, but yeah, actually, I'm almost relieved because I almost never get to like properly walk around and see everything and buy stuff. And TCAF does tend to be the one where I buy the most stuff, so I'm super excited to check that out in a leisurely fashion without worrying about tending to my table. So I do believe that's pretty much everything that I wanted to mention in this video, and I apologize that the audio is a little bit haphazard, but it's like I said, I'm just like super preoccupied in my mind about all the stuff that I still have to do for the wedding, and yeah, I am just gonna go straight back to that when I'm done recording this audio. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the process regardless. I'm actually really happy with how this page turned out. I think all the colors are just making my eyes very satisfied, unlike most of the other pages in the sketchbook. Like, not the ones, you know, leading up to this page in particular, but the first few pages were definitely super monochromatic, and I think it's just super fun and fresh for me to see more color. And actually, I really enjoyed the fashion, like more heavy fashion lean in this one, and you know, I had so much fun picking colors that I think I want to do something like that. I think I've mentioned, like, in the next couple of pages probably, I think I've mentioned before that I've seen some people do a lot of like fashion challenge type of things where you pick a random image with some sort of animal or like an object, and then you create an outfit based on that. So I think I will try to do something like that because it looks like it's so much fun, and I think I would enjoy that a lot. But yeah, thanks so much for subscribing to my channel and watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one next week. Bye!